Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be looking at the second installment of my Breed Spotlight series I feature on this channel, and today we are focusing on a horse breed. That's right, you saw the title. Today we are focusing on the Thoroughbred. The Thoroughbred is a renowned hot-blooded horse breed that was developed in the 17th century England for horse racing. Prized globally for their unmatchable agility, speed, and stamina, they are easily recognized by their lean, athletic build, deep chest, and long legs. While they are primarily used for horse racing, the Thoroughbred is quite a versatile breed and is used in a variety of other disciplines, including polo, show jumping, and eventing. Thoroughbred horses, famous for their racing agility and stamina, are bred primarily for athletic performance rather than a strict stereotype. However, successful thoroughbreds share instantly recognizable conformational traits that optimize their athletic ability. The Thoroughbred has a refined, chiseled, and expressive head with wide, intelligent eyes and large nostrils to take in massive amounts of oxygen. The neck of a Thoroughbred is typically long, light, and straight. The chest of this breed is deep and relatively narrow, and they have prominent withers, sloped shoulders, and a short back to facilitate a long, elastic stride. The quarters are powerful, lean haunches that provide explosive power for galloping, and they have long, clean legs with strong, defined tendons and large, mobile joints. Thoroughbreds range in height from 15.2 to 17 hands, or 62 to 68 inches, and their average weight is around 1,000 to 1,200 pounds. Thoroughbred registries prefer solid-colored coats. Multicolored coats, like paint or Appaloosa, are not recognized. The most common coat colors in this breed are bay, dark bay, brown, chestnut, black, or gray. Rarer colors seen in the breed are roan, palomino, and solid white. White markings are common on the face and lower legs of the breed, but typically do not appear on the main body. Thoroughbreds born in the Northern Hemisphere are officially considered a year older on the 1st of January every year, while those born in the Southern Hemisphere are officially considered a year older on the 1st of August every year. These artificial dates have been set to enable the standardization of races and other competitions for horses in certain age groups. The Thoroughbred breed is governed by strict pedigree verification. The global industry is managed by organizations such as the Jockey Club in the United States or Weatherby's in the UK. To be officially registered, the horse's ancestry must be traced back to one of the breed's 3 foundation sires imported from the Middle East to England in the late 17th and early 18th centuries. All modern-day thoroughbreds can trace their lineage back to one of 3 stallions imported into England from the Middle East in the late 17th and early 18th centuries. These foundation sires are the Burly Turk, imported in the 1680s, the Darley Arabian, imported in 1704, and the Godolphin Arabian, imported in 1729. Other imported stallions were less influential, but still made noteworthy contributions to the breed. These include the Alcock's Arabian, D'Arcy's White Turk, Leedy's Arabian, and Kerwin's Bay Barb. Another was the Brownlow Turk, who, among other attributes, is thought to be largely responsible for the great coat color in thoroughbreds. In all, about 160 stallions have been traced in the historical record as contributing to the creation of the thoroughbred. The addition of horses of Eastern bloodlines, whether Arabian, Barb, or Turk, to the native English mares ultimately led to the creation of the General Studbook in 1791 and the practice of official registration of horses. Each of the 3 foundation sires was, coincidentally, the ancestor of a grandson or great-great-grandson who was the only male descendant to perpetuate each respective horse's male line. Matcham was the only descendant of his grandsire, the Godolphin Arabian, to maintain a male line to the present, while the Burly Turk's male line was preserved by his great-great-grandson, Herod. And the male line of the Darley Arabian owes its existence to great-great-grandson Eclipse, who was the dominant racehorse of his day and was never defeated. One genetic study indicates that 95% of all male thoroughbreds trace their direct male line to the Darley Arabian. However, despite all of this, in modern thoroughbred pedigrees, most horses actually have more crosses to the Godolphin Arabian at 13.8% than to the Darley Arabian at only 6.5% when all lines are considered. Further, as a percentage of contributions to current thoroughbred bloodlines, Kerwin's Bay Barb with 4.2% appears more often than the Burly Turk at just 3.3%. The majority of thoroughbreds alive today trace to a total of only 27 or 28 stallions from the 18th and 19th centuries. The mares used as foundation breeding stock came from a variety of breeds, some of which, such as the Irish Hobby, had developed in northern Europe prior to the 13th century. Other mares were of Oriental breeding, including Barb, Turk, and other bloodlines. Although most researchers conclude that the number of Eastern mares imported into England during the 100 years after 1660 was small, with 19th century researcher Bruce Lowe identifying only 50 mare families in the thoroughbred. This number was later changed to 74 after further research in later centuries. The first thoroughbred horse in the American colonies was Bull Rock, who was imported in 1730. Maryland and Virginia were the centers of colonial thoroughbred breeding, along with South Carolina and New York. During the American Revolution, importation of the horses from England practically stopped but were restarted after the signing of a peace treaty. Two imported stallions, Messenger and Deomed, were imported around the time of the Revolution. Messenger was imported in 1788 and Deomed was imported before that. Messenger left little impact on the American thoroughbred, but is considered a foundation sire of another breed, the Standardbred. Deomed, who won the Derby Stakes in 1780, had significant impact on American thoroughbred breeding, mainly through his son, Sir Archie. After the American Revolution, the center of thoroughbred breeding and racing in the U.S. moved to the West, with Kentucky and Tennessee becoming significant centers. Andrew Jackson, later President of the United States, bred and raced thoroughbreds at his Hermitage Plantation near Nashville, Tennessee. After the American Civil War, the emphasis in American racing changed from the older style of 4-mile races in which the horses ran in at least 2 heats to the new style of racing which involved shorter races that were not run in heats and ran over distances of 5 furlongs up to 1.5 miles. This development meant a change in breeding practices as well as the age the horses were raced, with younger horses and sprinters coming to the forefront. Thoroughbreds began being imported into France in 1817 and 1818 with the importation of a number of stallions from England, but initially the sport of horse racing did not prosper in France. The first jockey club in France was not formed until 1833, and in 1834 the racing and regulation functions were split off to a new society, the Jockey Club de Paris. The French stud book was developed at the same time by the government, and by 1876, French-bred racehorses were regularly winning races in England. Organized racing came to Italy in 1837, when race meets were established in Florence and Naples, and a meet in Milan was founded in 1842. Modern flat racing came to Rome in 1868. Other countries in Europe, such as Germany, Russia, Poland, and Hungary, also have thoroughbred breeding programs. Horses arrived in Australia with the first fleet in 1788, along with the earliest colonists. Although horses of part thoroughbred blood were imported into Australia during the late 18th century, it is thought that the first pure-blood thoroughbred was a stallion named Northumberland, who was imported from England in 1802 as a coach horse sire. By 1810, the first formal race meets were being organized in Sydney, and by 1825, the first mare of proven thoroughbred bloodlines arrived to join the thoroughbred stallions already there. And in 1825, the Sydney Turf Club, the first true racing club in Australia, was formed. Throughout the 1830s, Australian colonies began importing thoroughbreds almost exclusively for racing purposes, and each colony formed its own racing club and held its own race meets. Gradually, the individual clubs were integrated into one overarching organization now known as the Australian Racing Board. Thoroughbreds from Australia were imported into New Zealand in the 1840s and 1850s, with the first direct importation from England occurring in 1862. Thoroughbreds have been exported to many other areas of the world since the breed was created. Oriental horses were imported into South Africa in the late 17th century in order to improve the local stock through crossbreeding. Horse racing was established there in the 18th and 19th centuries. The first thoroughbred stallions arrived in Argentina in 1853, but the first mares did not arrive until 1865. The Argentine stud book was published in 1893. Thoroughbreds were imported to Japan as early as 1895, although it was not until after the Second World War that Japan began a serious breeding and racing business involving thoroughbreds. Unlike a significant number of registries today, a horse cannot be registered as a thoroughbred with the Jockey Club registry unless they were conceived via a live cover, which is the witnessed natural mating between a stallion and a mare. Artificial insemination and embryo transfers, though commonly used in other breed registries, cannot be used with thoroughbreds. One reason for this is that a greater possibility for error exists in assigning parentage with artificial insemination. And although DNA and blood testing eliminates many of these concerns, artificial insemination still requires more detailed record keeping. The main reason, however, is thought to be economic. As the stallion only has a limited number of mares he can cover in a single breeding season, as this practice prevents an oversupply of thoroughbreds, although modern management still allows the stallion to live cover more mares in a season than was once thought possible. An example of this is the Australian stallion in Costa di Logo, who in 2008 covered 227 mares in a single season. Concerns have arisen that this closed studbook method and tightly regulated population of the thoroughbred is a risk for loss of genetic diversity because of the level of inadvertent inbreeding inevitable in such a small population. According to one study, 78% of alleles in the current population of thoroughbreds can be traced back to 30 foundation animals, 27 of which are male. 10 foundation mares account for 72% of all maternal lineages, and as said earlier, one stallion appears in 95% of all tail male lineages. Thoroughbred pedigrees are typically traced through the maternal line, which is also known as the distaff line. The line that a horse comes from, is a critical factor in determining the price for a young horse. Thoroughbreds are commonly referred to as having big brains and hearts. They learn quickly but can be less forgiving of harsh training methods. They excel under patient trainers who establish clear, quiet communication rather than using force. They are athletic powerhouses with high natural energy. Because of this, they are prone to stress and anxiety if not handled calmly, requiring a rider or trainer who prioritizes relaxation and rhythm. Once their primary racing careers come to an end, and if they do not become breeding stock for the industry, this breed is remarkably adaptable. They commonly transition into successful second careers in many other disciplines such as dressage, show jumping, eventing, and polo. The primary goals in early retraining of an OTTB is teaching them to relax, balance themselves without pulling on the bit, and to understand new riding aids. Retraining is highly individualized. While some adapt in months, others may need significant downtime to decompress and build physical and mental trust before starting formal arena work. When properly retrained and given a proper routine, their athleticism and loyalty make them highly versatile athletes. For those interested in second careers or retraining, you can explore resources through the Jockey Club Thoroughbred Incentive Program for information on competitions and clinics designed specifically for the breed. If you are considering buying an OTTB, you can research available horses or trainers near you using platforms like Canter USA. Thoroughbred care requires attention to their fast metabolisms, thin hooves, and active digestive tracts. Key daily management focuses on nutrient-dense forage diets, consistent turnout for mental well-being, and dedicated hoof support to prevent lameness and maintain their athletic longevity. Because of their fast metabolisms, thoroughbreds often require high-quality grass, hay, or grain, which makes them highly prone to gastric ulcers. Feeding forage-based diets with minimal sugars and incorporating supplements like beet pulp help to aid digestion and stabilize stomach acids. Horses drink roughly 20 to 40 liters of water daily, so always ensure access to clean and fresh water. Although thoroughbreds are seen in the hunter-jumper world and other disciplines, modern thoroughbreds are primarily bred for speed, and racehorses have a very high rate of accidents as well as other health problems. 1/10 of all thoroughbreds suffer orthopedic problems such as fractures. Current estimates indicate that there are 1.5 career-ending breakdowns for every 1,000 horses starting a race in the United States, an average of 2 horses per day. Thoroughbreds also tend to have other health concerns, including a majority of animals who are prone to bleeding from the lungs, known as exercise-induced pulmonary hemorrhage. An estimated 10% of all thoroughbreds have low fertility, while an estimated 5% of all thoroughbreds have abnormally small hearts. Thoroughbreds also tend to have smaller, thinner hooves relative to their body mass than other breeds, with thin soles and walls and a lack of cartilage mass, which contributes to foot soreness, which is the most common source of lameness in racehorses. Regular therapeutic shoeing is critical to shorten the toe, protect the sole, and properly support the heel. Owners are advised to avoid keeping their thoroughbreds in excessively muddy or wet environments, which can degrade the hoof wall integrity. One argument for the health issues involving thoroughbreds suggests that inbreeding is the culprit. It has also been suggested that the capability for speed is enhanced in an already swift animal by raising muscle mass, a form of selective breeding that has created animals designed to win races. Thus, according to one postulation, the modern thoroughbred travels faster than its skeletal system structure can support. Poor breeding may be encouraged by the fact that many horses are sent to the breeding shed following an injury. If the injury is linked to a conformational fault, the fault is more likely to be passed down to the next generation. Additionally, some breeders will have a veterinarian perform straightening procedures on a horse with crooked legs. A high accident rate may also occur because thoroughbreds, particularly in the United States, are first raced as 2-year-olds, well before they are completely mature. Though they appear full-grown and are in superb muscular condition, their bones are not fully formed. However, catastrophic injury rates are much higher in 4- and 5-year-olds than they are in 2- and 3-year-olds. The level of treatment given to injured thoroughbreds is often more intensive than for horses of lesser financial value, but also controversial, due in part to the significant challenges in treating broken bones and other major leg injuries. Leg injuries that are not immediately fatal still may be life-threatening because a horse's weight must be distributed evenly on all 4 legs to prevent circulatory problems, laminitis, and other infections. If a horse loses the use of one leg temporarily, there is the risk that other legs will break down during the recovery period because they are carrying an abnormal weight load. Schedule a full checkup with your vet at least once a year and ensure you consult your vet about core vaccines to prevent against conditions such as tetanus, rabies, West Nile virus, and equine influenza. Routine floating of the teeth prevents dental hooks and ensures your thoroughbred can properly digest nutrients. And thoroughbreds are highly intelligent and athletic. They require regular turnout, daily exercise, or a structured riding program. These are essential to prevent behavioral issues from forming as well as boredom. Owning a thoroughbred is a highly rewarding experience. Whether you are investing in a syndicate or retraining an off-track thoroughbred, success requires treating these insensitive, highly athletic horses as professionals by utilizing consistent training and maintaining plenty of patience. If you are stepping into the thoroughbred racing industry as an owner or with an ownership syndicate, understanding the business and financial realities is key. Racing is an investment, not just a hobby, so you will need to work with trusted bloodstock agents and trainers and establish a clear budget to evaluate your level of participation. If you are taking in an OTTB, you are essentially asking an elite athlete to learn an entirely new profession. Always give your horse a 30 to 60 day letdown period to adjust to farm life. Decompress from the track atmosphere and physically relax before starting serious retraining. Racehorses are trained to lean into pressure and run on straight lines. Groundwork, longlining, and serpentines help them build completely different muscle groups, such as a stronger top line and core, for a second career. Avoid pulling back on the reins to ask for a stop. This will only cue your thoroughbred to lean into the bit and run faster. Utilize your seat and leg aids and consider riding in a halter during the transition period to break old racing associations with the bit. Always work closely with a trainer or coach who has specific experience with OTTBs, as they can help guide you along on your retraining journey. Thoroughbreds are generally considered to be hard keepers due to their high metabolism and high-stress athletic backgrounds. Consider the 3 F's when owning a thoroughbred. They rely on friends, forage, and freedom. Because thoroughbreds are highly prone to gastric ulcers, please ensure that they have continuous access to forage to prevent stomach acid from splashing, and work with your vet on ulcer prevention strategies. Due to their rigorous training, thoroughbreds require consistent farrier work and leg care. Be hypervigilant for any heat or swelling you may feel in the legs. That's going to do it for today's video, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at one of the most well-known horse breeds in the world, and one of my personal favorite breeds. Please leave a like on the video and comment down below letting me know which breed you'd like to see next, and remember to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss out on another one of my videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.